Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. So you guys may have heard last night it was the Bomani Bowl. It was the Chiefs and Washington. It was Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith. Things that wind up infuriating me. And again, the dudes as the quarterbacks, man, they're not the ones who infuriate me. They just out here living their lives trying to make a little money. It's all you dorks with your capes on that be out here, like riding to the rescue from mediocrity. Y'all the ones that wind up causing me trouble. But that being said, I feel like we got like the best of all worlds from the game last night. One, the game was competitive. Two, I found the game to be pretty interesting. We had a decent number of kind of big plays, like excitable stuff for you to notice. The quarterbacks, they are who they are, but I feel like both of them played toward the upper limits of who they happen to be. It was a competitive game all the way in. I really enjoyed it. It did not go to overtime because I told y'all yesterday I wasn't going to watch a minute of no damn overtime. The Chiefs rescued us from overtime. That was greatly appreciated. And then it went one step further for a lot of you. And by a lot of you, I mean those of you who had the Chiefs -7. Now, I imagine the game probably wound up meaning more to you if you had Washington +7, because I imagine that you were just sitting there the whole way and you were just like, yeah, I got this, right? I can't lose, right? I mean, look at this, a 3-point game. There's one play left. There's no way that I can lose. And then next thing you know, they tried to do a little funny play where they throw it to Pryor, and then Pryor tried to throw it back to Cousins, and then the ball hit the ground, and then Kansas City wound up picking that bad boy up, and then Justin Houston was taking it to the end zone. Now, understand, you could make an argument that Justin Houston could have been classy and took a knee, but he was like, nah, my people got the Chiefs -7. And he went in there, and they got the cover. Shannon, what they call that, a bad beat? Is that what they refer to that as? Is a bad beat?
For some, yes.
Yeah, that's what that was called. There, that would be the bad beat. Honestly, if I had risked an amount of money that was worth discussing, I'd have to go fight someone, and that someone I'd have to go fight would be Kirk Cousins. Like, come on, man, the game ain't over. Ball, what do they call it? Ball security. Ball security is the hallmark of football. You can't never stop practicing your fundamentals. Like, I feel like that's what they did. They just went out there and they just completely ignored their little fundamentals. You can never ignore your fundamentals. Like, I'd be curious to know how many people, when they got to work in the morning, how many people were talking about the actual game and how many people were talking about that swing on the line at the end. And, Shannon, if I'm not mistaken, I think the number was at 48.5, meaning that if you had the over, you came up on that one too. Shout out to this dude, Big Baller Brad, in my mentions. He said he had the Chiefs -7 and the under in a parlay. I don't know how exactly that worked out for him. Oh, the over-under was 48, Shannon. It's 48. Don't gamble, kids. I feel like that's the only lesson to be learned here. Don't gamble. I watched football this Sunday with one of my homeboys, and he gambles. And so he's got like 5 TVs set up in the living room, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yo, this entire afternoon is a public service announcement against gambling. Like, I like to chill out and watch football. I can't be on the edge of my seats in these ways that these cats are about games that I don't care about. Now, there's a lot of people that say that part of why they enjoy gambling is that they do that, and then it makes the games they don't care about more interesting. Let me tell you something. The last thing I'm out here trying to do in my life is care about things that I don't care about right now. Like, I don't need more things to care about. That's not really what the deal is. And what's wild about it, watching the homie, and, he got some bread, so it's not like he's putting, like, anything down that could hurt or anything like that. But it still gets that level of attachment to it. I'm like, no. This is not a game I need to play. This looked like a narcotic that had me strung out, because the last thing I need is a hobby where I risk money on my belief that I can outsmart somebody. Because I generally believe I can outsmart you. And that whole casino make all the money off people that think that you can outsmart them. They got equations. You be out here guessing. You ever think about that for a second? How many people out here guessing? Like when the daily fantasy stuff wound up in the news and it got real ugly about it, because in the end they found out that a whole bunch of the people were out here playing with equations, and then a bunch of the people were out here guessing. That's every day with gambling. They out here running the numbers. you out here guessing with your money on the line. At least the casino, the dude working at the casino is betting on somebody else's money. You putting your money on the line. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. But, Shannon, those two quarterbacks were not so bad, man. They were not so bad. Do I sound like a hater when I say that? Because I just feel like they were not so bad.
That seemed a bit like a backhanded compliment, yes.
But, I mean, so the thing about both of them is that if you went and you looked at the numbers were decent. Like, Cousins didn't have to throw a lot of passes, which I think is what you hope for if you're Washington. Now, what I think is happening a lot also with Washington is teams are kind of daring Kirk Cousins to beat him. Like, I think, and he'll hit you for a good play here and there, but it feels like teams have kind of made the decision that they don't think that guy can beat them. So they seem to be stacking up on the line to stop the run a decent bit. I could be wrong, but you go look at what the numbers were for the running game for Washington. Given that Washington has a pretty good offensive line, my hypothesis would be that they out here just saying, all right, Kirk, you do it. The first two games of the year, they were absolutely like, all right, Kirk, your world. You go ahead and do that. Knock yourself out. This one, he hit on some big plays. He hit on that big play to Vernon Davis. He hit on that big play to Terrell Pryor. The one to Terrell Pryor, though, was not really a great pass, but hey, whatever works, right? Alex Smith, on the other hand, he had a couple of plays where, at the very least now, and this is a change from Alex Smith, and I know that a lot of you guys don't really view it in this way, but this is a big change with Alex Smith, okay? At least he's looking down the field. That's what he's giving you now that he really hadn't given you previously. He's looking down the field. He is entertaining the possibility of throwing the ball to somebody who is way far away. And that makes a world of difference with this team. I think also one thing that helps with the Chiefs in that regard is a lot of what they're looking for deep has been down the middle of the field, and Smith will do that, right? Like, you ask him to make a big throw outside the numbers, he ain't really giving you that. But one of these little water bugs running up the middle, running a route, what do they call them, the seams? Yeah. One of the little water bugs doing that, oh, he'll get them the ball. He's got that. By the way, here is Andy Reid getting his euphemism on, talking about Alex Smith and his consistent play.
Right, listen, Alex never says anything. Everybody else says everything. So he just keeps doing good and doesn't worry about all that. He's a seasoned veteran. I've told you before, I love having this guy. I mean, he's everything you want as a coach, and comes to work every day. He's the first one in, the last one. All these things that you're supposed to do, he does. So this is what we see every day. This is what we have confidence in. Players, coaches, we all have confidence that he does this. And whatever happened before he got here happened, and he doesn't worry about it. We don't worry about it. We just move on.
What? Shannon, all he left out was, I would love for him to date my daughter.
Yeah, and if you couldn't tell there, I'm sure that Alex Smith is an extension of Andy Reid when he's out there on the field.
Coach on the field. Mm-hmm. Coach on the field. He was just like, ooh, Alex, oh, what can I say about him that I couldn't say about literally anybody else in the world? He just rattled off all that stuff about, I mean, what can we say? That's what we trust, that he's going to get here on time every day. Basically, Andy Reid said, well, look, he didn't get that perfect attendance certificate without, showing up every day. Yeah. Right, that is what it seemed to be right there. I mean, he just, hey, man, get the job done. That's all he's asking him to do right now is, hey, get the job done. I felt like I heard everything that Andy Reid had to say right there, and I felt like we could have closed that at the end with, and that's why we took a quarterback in the first round this year. Yeah. Hey, everybody's got all the confidence in the world in Alex Smith. That's why we've already got our eye on his replacement. Shannon, think about that. Eli Manning, right? The Giants have not considered replacing him, and he's never been very good. Alex Smith, however, Alex Smith's had two jobs, and both times they were like, okay, let's start thinking about what we're going to do next. Let's start hiding a little money away. Like, I feel like Colin Kaepernick, when he got to San Francisco, was kind of like an offshore account. Like, the money was there, but nobody really knew about it. And then one day you looked up and you're like, oh, we got some cash. Yeah, I was just saving it until I left her. Situation kind of similar to that one. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Give us a call about the game. Also, we're still taking your stories about when you decided that, football wasn't for you anymore because you got hit so hard. Coming up next, we're going to still talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you sold on them? And what's up with your man, Travis Kelce? You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 8.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Field Yates of ESPN will join us next segment. Field Yates will join us at 4:30 Eastern. Toss some NFL. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. And hey, stop Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. All right, I just want to start off here by telling you every now and then I be telling the future, right? You know, and I don't want you coming up here like asking me to pick your lottery numbers or anything like this. But I got this knack every now and then for telling the future. In fact, a few years ago, man, I was on Twitter. I need to find this. I used to be on there back in the day. Shannon, I tell you about I used to be predicting wild pitches.
Oh, no, this is the first I'm hearing about this.
I was sitting there watching the baseball playoffs one year. I had like a solid 3-week run where I was just like, yep, here comes a wild pitch. And the next thing you know, a wild pitch would come. Like I thought I need to get on them lottery tickets with people on that. But every now and then I can predict the future. And, I mean, this one I don't think was that hard to predict, but predicted I did nonetheless. So, Travis Kelce, he likes to, get his groove on. He is... Well, I have a lot of questions about that young man. Shannon, I was listening to the post-game interview. I wasn't watching at first. I just heard a voice, and then I looked up and was like, oh, that was Travis Kelce? Do we know anybody that's known Travis Kelce forever? Like, has he always been like this? Or did he get, what's the word that they use? Radicalized. We got any evidence on that, Shannon? He out here with the short cut, that beard, kneeling during the national anthem, earrings. Like, I know he went to Cincinnati. Was he recruited by Bob Huggins? Just curious. Anyway, Travis Kelce was out there dancing for his little celebration. And, like, it was only a group celebration in the sense that Travis Kelce got out there and started dancing. And then the other cats saw him, and then they themselves started dancing. Right? Like, does that prevent it from being a penalty? I don't know exactly how it goes, but it wound up being a group celebration in that way because they were dancing around him. I also wonder, Shannon, if perhaps they had suggested to Travis Kelce that maybe they do a Soul Train line, and he was like, wait, what's that? Like, is that on the 200 level of his radicalization? Has he not quite gotten there, perhaps?
Yeah, no, that's next season.
Yeah, next year.
But one step at a time.
Next season, right? But anyway, I told y'all how I was going to go with Travis Kelce. This is on our preview of the first game of the season. I told you what the Travis Kelce group celebration was going to be like right here. Haven't they opened it up? We going to get more celebrations this year?
Yes, and even team celebration, like group celebrations. We're bringing that back.
Oh, God, Travis Kelce will be insufferable. Here's the thing. I think the group going to try to dance with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce going to be like, hold on, hold back, and tell him to get in a circle. And then start doing something to be like, all right, now what y'all do is y'all go Travis, go Travis, go Travis. Is that not what happened? Is that not basically what we had? Travis Kelce getting his groove on, and basically just other cats being like, go Travis, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. That's what it was. He almost got another one of them silly personal fouls, too. Remember, that's Captain Kelce, by the way.
Change now. Like, this is different.
Yes.
Like, this is different. He knows he has to keep his emotions under control, right?
There's so much going on with him, right? Like, he's one of those guys, again, I don't have a problem with Travis Kelce. I have a problem with the way we look at Travis Kelce's, like, histrionics differently than we do anybody else's. But now, man, he's out there. Here's the thing, though. Like, I feel like, so he's doing, like, the hoop earrings, and he's doing the beard that way. Like, I understand what direction he's going in. But, Shannon, I feel like he needs to get a different haircut and get a jean jacket and go all the way George Michael circle 1987.
Is that what the kids are into? Because I don't know.
But I got to think twice. I just seem like honestly, if he had the jean jacket and a different haircut, he'd be on the George Michael.
While I agree with that, I just don't know if he's one of these guys that's going to start pioneering any styles. It seems as though got to make sure, find out what's hot out here in these streets.
Well,
do a little research.
Well, maybe, just maybe, he's got someone that might be guiding him in those directions. You never know. These boys got what they call them stylists, stuff like that. Anyway, are we sure about the Chiefs? And I say this because, one, I'm sure they're good, right? I mean, they've been good pretty consistently over a span of years. Like, I feel like they are a good football team. They have got explosive players, and Andy Reid has done some interesting things to get these explosive players in positions to make plays. And they've got, Justin Houston, it's still weird seeing how much they have Justin Houston in coverage, but Justin Houston is there on defense. They still got guys who are over there. Marcus Peters is one of the best corners in the league. Like, they still have all of that that's going on there. But what got me about this game, before Josh Norman got hurt, when Washington had, like, their full complement of defenders, it seemed like they had figured out some of that college trickeration that they've been out here doing. They tried to do that triple option that first time where Kelsey goes up the middle on the shovel pass. Washington was like, oh, nah, bro, you ain't going, no, you ain't going to fool us. Like we've been watching film, guys. We're ready for that one. So how does this go? As teams get a better handle on what Reed is doing, which a lot of it seems to be pretty new, how does it go after that? There, I don't have a great answer for it because I feel like what he's doing a lot of things that put Alex Smith in positions to be successful. Can he be successful without Andy Reid putting him in a position to do so? That becomes the question. How long will they be able to use these little different ways that are getting guys like DeAnthony Thomas and Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, like those dudes out there? How long are they going to keep up? Like, how much of this is right now being ahead of the curve of what defensive coordinators have been able to prepare for? I don't have a great answer for that. I tell you this, too. Ain't but so good you can be with that offensive line. Like, if you want to find some place to give Alex Smith some credit, is he made some pretty decent plays with them coming in on him. Like, the heat is coming on them. Even though the Chiefs, don't the Chiefs have the most anonymous number 1 overall pick of all time as their left tackle? He still play for them.
Eric Fisher, number 72, I believe, is his number.
Yes. Is it?
I think.
Look, you can call out any year from like 1980 until now, and I can tell you the number 1 overall pick. You throw out that Eric Fisher year, man, and I was like, even me telling you this right now, you could throw out that exact year, and I'll just be sitting here like, that could go either way. 2013? That sound right?
2013, yes. Him and Luke Jokel.
That's right.
2 picks in the draft. Jokel no longer with Jacksonville.
I think Jokel's somewhere playing guard, by the way. We got 2 number 2 overall picks at offensive tackle playing guard. That Greg Robinson dude, isn't he playing guard for somebody right now? Because if he's not, he should be. In fact, I don't even know if Greg Robinson should be playing guard or security guard. His next career will involve black shirts. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. You boys calling up talking about that time you decided you didn't want to play football no more. Let's talk to Duke in Dallas. Duke, thanks for calling the right time. All right, we don't have Duke. We got Dale from Toledo, though. Dale, thanks for calling the right time.
What's up, Bo? What's up, Shannon?
Doing all right?
Bo, this 40 years ago. Kids in the neighborhood been begging me to go out for football, begging, so I finally decided to go out. First day of practice, they put me on special teams, running back kicks, no problem. Second day of practice, our star running back gets hit. He breaks his ankle. He's laying on the ground. His left foot is pointed towards the sky. His right foot is laying on the ground. They called the ambulance. They came, put his foot in that bag, straightened it out, blew that air in it. I went home, told my mama, sorry I wasted your $20, but I ain't going back.
That's all it, dude. I saw somebody, and I appreciate the call. I was in 7th grade. Man, I saw somebody get one of them broken legs where, you know, when you lay on your back, your legs, like your feet go to opposite sides? Nah, his were both to the east, my brother, to the east, my brother, to the, ugh. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Oh, and Greg Robinson is playing left tackle for the Lions. Like I said, he probably should be playing guard. Coming up next, how much stock should we put into what we've seen from the Chiefs? We'll talk to Phil Yates of ESPN about that on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. If you've got goals, GNC's got the protein for you. GNC AMP Weightbolic is clinically proven to increase muscle size and strength in just 8 weeks. Total Lean is the most comprehensive line of weight management protein. GNC has the best from popular brands like Optimum and Muscle Tech, and in-store exclusives from Ghost and Performix. Try all the awesome, great tasting flavors like Cereal Milk, Tahitian Vanilla, Fruity Charms, and Fudge Brownie. Save big with GNC's Beat 'em by a buck price match guarantee. Find the right protein formula for your goal at GNC.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Our guest join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Just like our next guest, he covers the NFL for us here at ESPN. His name is Field Yates. Now, Field, coming off that game last night with the Chiefs, tell me if I'm crazy here. The Chiefs being at 4-0, I think surprises some people, but they've been good for a stretch. I find myself more impressed by Washington than I ever thought they would be this season, given their disastrous offseason. Am I crazy there?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I tell you what, this offseason they were one of the most popular trend downwards teams, right? Sean Jackson, Pierre Garçon both leave in free agency. They have dealt with a significant part of their defense, Trent Murphy being suspended for the beginning portion of the season. A team that some people did not know how the defense would come together. As a matter of fact, we were all expecting it to be pretty average, and it's been the opposite of that. It's been pretty stout so far, and going toe-to-toe with the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium on Monday Night Football is something that I don't want to say the team is proud of, but at least a sign of progress for Washington during a season when many of us expected them to be, closer to the basement of the NFC East.
Well, I feel like their defense added two things that every defense can use, right? A stud on the defensive line in Jonathan Allen and an outright maniac in DJ Swearinger.
Yeah, that helps. And I was, following the timeline of Susie Culver, the host of Monday Night Countdown, and she said during production meetings something about along the lines of swagger is what DJ Swearinger brought to that defense. And it seems pretty clear, like they played with confidence and controlled confidence last night. And you're right on Jonathan Allen. Like, I wonder if the NFL might have overthought that one when he slid to 17th in the NFL draft. At one point, he was regarded as a top, 3 or 5 pick. He falls into Washington's lap at 17, and he's got some play-wrecking ability. He can be an anchor for your defense for not just this year, but for probably, the balance of the prime of his career.
All right, we're talking to Field Yates of ESPN here on The Right Time. Now, going back to talking about the Chiefs, they're 4-0. They're running this offense that, it's kind of a continuation of what Andy Reid has been trying to do, but it feels more full-on college than ever. What have you thought about the offense and how Alex Smith fits into it?
Yeah, it's a fair point for the college comparison, because I'm sitting there watching last night, and not to get football nerdy, but the spacing of their offense is impeccable, right? It feels like every player knows exactly where he is supposed to be on every single play, and there's a specific design behind it. And you've got guys that have excellent speed. They kept talking about it during the broadcast last night, John McDonough and John Gruden, about how many yards after the catch the Chiefs have as an offense. Well, it doesn't happen unless you've got good athletes. So when they run not just these passing plays, but some of these jet sweeps and some of these end arounds and Travis Kelce getting those shovel passes, it's because they've got really good athletes that can run with the football after the catch. And so far through one quarter of the season, there hasn't really been a great antidote from any other team. They have controlled, 2 of their 4 games, and then, coming back in the second half against the Patriots and also Washington last night, that's impressive. This team's got some resolve to it.
All right, now switching gears just a little bit, are you more surprised that the Chiefs are 4-0 or that the Giants are 0-4?
Probably the Giants being 0-4, only because, I thought the Chiefs would be good. The limiting factor on their roster, I suppose, was where's the offensive playmakers? But I probably looked past Kareem Hunt, maybe most of the NFL world did, given he was a 3rd-round pick out of Toledo. But the Giants being 0-4, it's not a ton changed defensively this offseason. Janoris Jenkins has been banged up, but some of the best pieces on that roster have been there, right? Snacks Harrison in the middle and JPP and Olivier Vernon. That's an excellent defensive front. They are prone to, lapses, to put it kindly, on offense, but it's been brutal from the Giants so far. And, bad luck perhaps in some of these close games down the stretch, but, offensively anemic in the first 2 weeks, and then at best sort of skittish over the last 2 weeks. So the Giants being 0-4 is a surprise to me.
Now, another unit that's been a bit surprising has been the Patriots defense, and I don't mean that in a good way. Do you think there are problems with those that can be fixed or just a matter of talent?
Starting to make me wonder if they can't get fixed, Bo. Listen, the numbers speak for themselves, and the talent is, I think, there. It wasn't like they replaced a departed corner in Logan Ryan with some undrafted free agent or a player that had not been around. Stephon Gilmore is a former first-round pick who's been to the Pro Bowl, has had some great moments in his NFL career, but it feels like this team has just not yet come together or anywhere close to come together on the defensive side of the ball, and they've got, as good as you can ask for coaching staff to get this thing right, but through 4 games, I'm not sure what you hang your hat on or what makes you think they're going to get better other than the track record they have as being a team that typically seems to improve as the season goes on.
Now, do you think they have enough offense to overcome it?
They have enough. I mean, nobody has as much offense as they do. So do I think they have enough? Like, do I still expect them to be in the playoff mix come January? Absolutely. Is the defense a fatal flaw? I think I've learned time and time again that, like, I'm going to be the last person to write this team off collectively as opposed to the first person. So, yes, I think they have enough to overcome what has woed them so far, because the first quarter of the season is probably one that Bill Belichick would like to soon forget. Heck, most times players and coaches don't like these Thursday night games in the short week. This might be the rare example where a team is chomping at the bit to play on Thursday night so they can get the stench of Sunday afternoon out of their mind following that 33-30 loss to the Panthers.
All right, talking to Phil Yates of ESPN here on The Right Time. As you talk about the playoff mix and the Patriots, how about those first-place 3-1 Buffalo Bills?
I mean, I got to tell you, I'm so impressed by what the organization has been able to do. I mean, the Bills have extra first, second, and third-round picks next year in the 2018 draft. Like, they have simultaneously built for the future while also staying really competitive. And it's just so cliche to say, but teams that are good often take on the identity of their head coach. And it feels like that's been the case with the team and Sean McDermott, who's got sort of this legendary grinder aura about him, a guy that's going to work some more and be tough. And, you know, they keep talking about player accountability up there in Buffalo and mental, physical toughness up there in Buffalo, and it shows up. And, you know, they've got an identity on offense, and the defensive identity has come together. A secondary that I was pretty curious about at best has been much better than expectations. So I give a ton of credit to the Buffalo Bills, head coach Sean McDermott, GM Brandon Beane. That franchise is unquestionably on the up and up.
Well, are they going to come to realize that they've got a quarterback that you just can't replace with a dude off the street?
I tell you what, man, like, if I keep thinking that Tyrod Taylor is the most underrated player in the NFL and then he has another good week, I am not sure why Tyrod Taylor is somewhat underappreciated. But to me, you know, hopefully he's a player that sticks around there for a long time in Buffalo.
All right, that is Phil Yates. Check him out covering the NFL for us here at ESPN. My man, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, now, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll compare rates for you so you get the best deal, even if it's not with us, saving you time and money. Now, that's Progressive. Call or click today.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Phil Yates of ESPN for joining us last segment. Domonique Foxworth of The Undefeated will join us in the 5 o'clock Eastern hour. Remember, if you miss anything live, check out the Right Time podcast, available on the ESPN app. The Fall Football Tour on ESPN Radio is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, reminding you that the Russillo Show will be live from Burlington this Friday, covering the University of Vermont homecoming. The College Football Playoff Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. So LaVar Ball apparently has decided that Melo doesn't need to go to Chino Hills High School anymore, largely because LaVar doesn't like to coach. He didn't like to coach before that much either. He seems to have a problem with the coaches at Chino Hills, in large part because LaVar believes that he is, in fact, the coach at Chino Hills. And it's kind of hard to argue with him because Chino Hills didn't really have nothing cracking in basketball going before LaVar showed up with his kids. Right? And so now everybody is just basically on Team LaVar, except for the fact that people get a little tired of being told what to do by somebody who is not on the payroll. But as you will hear here from LaVar Ball talking to Ramona Shelburne, this is from the 11 o'clock Sports Center, LaVar is not really tripping.
So that's 2 high school coaches in, 6 months?
2 high school coaches in 2 months. And they ain't got it yet. All you got to do is do like Coach Bay, get along with me, and guess what? You go 35-0. When you try to do it your way, goodbye.
Does it feel like a risk to you to take him out of high school, though, and miss out on all that?
Miss out on what?
Going to the prom, hanging with your friends.
He can do that without going to school. All you got to do is walk down the street. They're going to hang with him anyway.
I feel like, by the way, LaVar just did a kind of impromptu, unexpected commercial for dropping out of school. Well, I got to keep going to school. They still going to hang out with me anyway. Now, granted, he did not drop out of school. The boy's just going to do homeschool, which, Shannon, can you imagine like who's going to be doing the teaching in the home? Is it going to be LaVar? Is LaVar going to be explaining to him sine, cosine, and tangent?
I don't know about what's going on, but I can imagine it's going to be pretty regimented, though, right?
Well,
because LaVar seems to be pretty big on that, where it's big on schedule with his boys.
That's true, but also, how do you do high school home? Like, how do you do chemistry? Like, y'all got you got a lab at the crib? Like, I mean, I'm serious. I don't really, like, homeschool is a world that I don't understand, and I try to be careful with what I say about homeschool because some of y'all were homeschooled, and you get offended by some of the things that I have questions about. But I am of the belief, and I'm not trained, and yes, I understand this, that you guys who did homeschool to talk about all the different ways that you can be socialized that are outside of school. But school is a big basis of socialization. Like, I think that there's something to be said for being in that environment that is positive. I also feel like this boy that this youngest boy is – He a little wild with it. Like, I feel like he needs to spend more time among people. Except, is it possible to be LaMelo Ball and be among people at this point? Like, can that be done, right? Because I think a lot of us are looking at it through the lens of our own high school experiences. But basketball players, man, like, how much of a difference is there really between, like, yanking a kid out to go homeschool versus some of these prep schools that these kids get sent to where they're there just to play basketball and everybody knows that they're just to play basketball? Like, what's the difference? Like, I understand a lot of people's argument there that you can't just be all about basketball, school matters. Yeah, I get that. But these cats been all about basketball for the longest. Like, when we talk about how it would be better if we had, like, an academy system like they have for soccer in Europe, the only thing we have that's really that different for basketball players in that regard, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that the kids don't get paid in college. Because going off to these prep schools, it's the same thing. Now, those prep school kids, those are the ones itching to get out of college. Itching to get out of college because it turned into a job the second they started going on a world tour in order to get this basketball thing cracking. Like that, I don't really feel is like I don't feel this is as much different as people make it out to be. I just could never think of homeschool as really being something that I would think would be like a good idea. That's me. I would not be the one who would think that that would be the way to go. But I mean, it can work. What I admit I don't understand is I don't understand the level of outrage that some people have about this. Like, this is not the testament to what is wrong with LaVar Ball. I think that you could say that perhaps letting a beef with a high school coach turn into this, okay, maybe you could make the argument that there's something wrong in that regard. But people do this homeschool thing all the time. All the time. And many times because they're afraid of the outside world. That's just some people. That's not all of them, but you got to admit, that's some of them. This isn't that new. I don't know if it's the biz, but hey. I also say this, too, by the way. He said that LaMelo, you know, he'll still be able to, like, because I think Ramon asked about the prom, like hang out with your friends, go to the prom. He'll still be able to do all that. He's absolutely right about that. LaMelo ain't going to have no problem going to that prom. 4 syllables. Lamborghini. Trust me. Dude with the Lambo going to have a date to the prom. Please believe that. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone numbers. We're letting y'all call in with your stories about why you quit playing football. Let's hit the phone. Talk to Vonda in Connecticut. Vonda, thanks for calling the right time.
Thank you. I've been waiting for this call for years, okay? I got people all over the country waiting to hear this. Well, when I was a kid, I loved football. And my grandfather came across a trailer with this man was selling some football equipment. So we got all the equipment. So since the equipment was mine, I made myself the quarterback. And I was Terry Bradshaw, okay? So I had it going on. So I decided when I was like in the 7th grade, I was going to go out for the boys' football team in high school. And I was telling all my friends, I was like, y'all got to help me out. Tackle me, get me ready, because I'll be the first one. They was like, okay, because, see, I had all the equipment. Plus, I was cute, you know how it is. But anyway, so sure enough, high school comes. And my mother was like, you take care of the field, I'll take care of the business, because we never had a girl on a football team. I was like, okay. So we get there. They had to put me on until they figured out what they was going to do. The first week, all endurance. I was like, Dad, I got this. Second week, we just throwing and passing, no hitting. The third week came, my friends was like, Vonda, be careful, because you know them boys ain't going to let you be no quarterback. I was like, y'all just blocked me. The first pass came, connect. Yeah, I got this. My friends was like, Vonda. The second one, connect. I was all souped up. I threw that third one, and out of nowhere, I don't know what happened. All I know is when I woke up, I was in the boys' locker room, and I was dreaming that Bugs Bunny, the cartoon, had gotten knocked out. So I got knocked out twice, and they asked me what my name was. I was like, I'm playing volleyball. I'm done. All-American volleyball, basketball, track, McDonald's All-America. I was like, I'm playing volleyball. I'm done with this. I can't even throw a ball to my son right now. I was like, nah.
Hey, let me tell you, Vonda, you might be winning the prize right now. Also, in another day, I'm going to ask you how it is your grandfather came across a trailer with football equipment. Who just comes across that? 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, the greatest development in NBA history. I'll tell you about it on ESPN Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Welcome to The Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. We're also still taking your phone calls about that day you were like, nah, I don't want to play football no more. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Now, look, I told you guys this if you were on before the commercial break, and I kind of mean this. This is kind of sort of quite possibly the greatest development in the history of the NBA, right? And honestly, I don't know what all is in competition for the greatest development in the history of the NBA. However, they have redone the All-Star game, right? So here's how the thing is going to work with the All-Star game, right? So you guys are still going to vote for starters, Eastern Conference and Western Conference, right? We're still going to have that. But then after that, you're going to have the thing where you do the vote for reserves, right? Where the players, coaches, and fans, and media, players, media, whoever, everybody that gets in there to vote on the reserves. We're going to have those guys, right? So the starters are going to be chosen, and the reserves are going to be chosen. And then from there, the top vote getter in each conference from the fan voting for starters is going to be named the captain, right? And then from there, the captains are going to pick their teams from the starters. And then after that, the captains are going to pick teams from the reserves, which is to say that all-star teams are now going to be picked by the captains. Now, there's one small flaw with this, Shannon. They're not going to televise the draft. They say the draft is going to take place well before All-Star Weekend. And I feel like the draft should take place Friday night. Get rid of the celebrity game. We don't need that.
I'm more interested in the draft than 3/4 of the game itself.
Yes. But tell me this, what would you rather see? You rather watch Kevin Hart hoop, or would you rather wait to sit around to see who gets picked where? And when we say to see who gets picked where, you know exactly what we mean. To see who gets picked last. I want all them dudes to be out there. And by the way, I don't just want it in a situation where everybody's like in their club clothes to get picked. No. In fact, Shannon, this is when they should pick the teams. They should pick the teams on Sunday right before the game during warm-ups. And forget about the top vote getters being the captains. You know, we're going to shoot for captains. That's what you need to do. Have these cats out here shoot for captains. It's the NBA, so they have to shoot from like 35 feet to make it a challenge. But we need to have them shoot for captains and then have them pick teams. And then we can see who the last dude is.
Real quick, and I know this is a bit of a sidebar, but you brought it up. Shooting for captains, right?
Yes.
How does that order work in the past? Like, the ones who really want to be captain, aren't those usually like the first two people who shoot? Like,
yes.
The guy who doesn't really want to be captain, he has to shoot last just because he has to shoot for it. But he didn't really want to be captain. So really, if the first two people in line want to be captains, why don't we just make them captains?
Because sometimes there's a guy like me who understands giving the people who are out here my only guarantee of getting on the floor is being a captain. Like, you can't forget that part. Some dudes have got to be captains in order to ensure that they have a space on the floor. But that's what I want. I want these dudes out here shooting for captains, and then I want the picking to take place. And if Dwight Howard makes the All-Star team, I'm pretty sure he's the guy who winds up being last. Now, here's my other question. If they're going to do this picking the teams behind closed doors for the All-Star game, right? If they are going to do this, are they going to announce the draft order, or is it just going to be like a black box and everybody finds out? Because I feel like word's going to get through the league like, hey, man, I heard you was the last pick, bro. Yeah. I mean, I'm just telling you, man. You know, LeBron ain't tell me himself, but, I mean, they saying you was last, dog. You know, them cats going to be salty.
But that's what we need, though. That adds intrigue and drama to the game.
Yes.
The fact to have the last dude.
This could make it more competitive. Oh, by the way, Shannon, apparently Michael Jordan was heavily involved in making this change. Because, of course, he would be.
Of course he will be. A guy that would either be a captain or the first person picked in these scenarios would be the guy that was the driving force of making this happen.
And, by the way, he would find the guy. If they did this when Jordan was playing, Jordan would find the guy who was the last pick and make sure that he understood. Just want to let you know you're the last dude I picked. The only reason you on this team is because there wasn't nobody else. If there was anybody else in the NBA out here, I'd have him instead of you.
All right, so say if there was a hypothetical and Jordan was one of these guys picking teams, right?
Yes.
And it was the other person's choice, and they chose, and Isaiah Thomas was one of the last two people chosen,
Ooh.
and the other guy took the other person, leaving Isaiah Thomas to go on Jordan's team. You think Jordan still picks him?
We don't need 12 people. We don't need to use all our scholarships. All we need is 8 scholarships out here. We don't need everybody. Now, here's another question about picking teams, though. If you are picking teams and he was not voted a starter, is Russell Westbrook one of the first picks or one of the last picks? I mean, you would like somebody to pass the ball to you, right? Because here's the problem with the All-Star game. Nobody plays any defense. That means you are always open. And one thing Russell Westbrook is not doing is passing up an open shot. It doesn't matter where he can actually make it or not. He is not passing up an open shot. So are you taking Russell early or are you taking Russell late? Also, what happens when Klay Thompson looks around and his own Warrior teammates still leaving him on the board, like way late? What happens then?
That's another element to this that I want to see. Like these guys, because we're assuming LeBron's going to be the top vote getter in the East, and it's most likely going to be Steph in the West, I'd imagine, right?
Yes.
So I want to see the dynamic of these guys forced to take their teammates.
Or what happens when LeBron's like, nah, Melo, we good. Nah, I don't really want to. Like, LeBron going to be so hoping that Dwayne Wade doesn't make the All-Star team so it doesn't get awkward. Like, I want you to play for the Cavs, but, this is about something different. Yeah. Also, who's the guy that's going to find out that his peers, don't respect him as much as the media? Gordon Hayward sitting over there like, y'all really ain't going to pick me? Also, when does LeBron pick Kyrie? Hey, I hadn't thought about that, had you? Does LeBron pick Kyrie?
Also, the team names, is it still going to be East-West, or are we going to, go with ballers and slammers? What are we doing?
Hold on. Let's think about this. Nuno makes a good point.
The bricklayers, who are we going with?
Hold on. Let's think about this. What if Russell Westbrook gets the most votes in the West, which is totally possible, right? What if Russell Westbrook gets the most votes in the West? Does he take Kevin Durant? Do you think he does?
I thought we were past this. These guys played together on the All-Star team last year.
Do you think he picks him?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think he picks him? Also, this whole discussion is pointing out how messy the NBA is and how much we love that the NBA is messy. Because I'm loving every minute of these dramatic scenarios, and we haven't even gotten to the one that's most likely to stop somebody from getting picked, which is, of course, we sleeping with the same woman. That's an NBA staple, an NBA classic right there.
This just reminds me of a reality show like Survivor or something where you got these alliances that are being built based upon who slept with who.
Yeah, they'd be like, yo, how come you didn't pick your man? He know. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Y'all be calling in with your stories about why you quit playing football. Let's hit the phones. Talk to Andrew in Louisville. Andrew, thanks for calling the right time.
How's it going, Bo?
Doing all right, Matt.
So my story is I was a senior in high school, and we were playing against Bob Sanders' team. Well, as we're lining up, I see this tiny little dude playing middle linebacker, and I'm playing offensive guard, and I'm talking to my buddy going, this dude ain't nothing. Well, Bob Sanders decided to come on a blitz, and I'm looking at the lights and the ceiling and he's standing over me laughing because I'm 6'2", 260. This dude is 5'6", $150 soaking wet. And all of his buddies come over talking crap. Well, on defense, I'm middle linebacker. He's their starting running back. Same thing happens. We meet in the hole, and I'm looking at the lights.
That was the end?
What was that?
I said that was the end, huh?
Yep. I actually had I wasn't bad, but I wasn't great. I had a D2 scholarship, and I just dropped the pads right there and said, I'm out.
Andrew, man, I appreciate the call. Dude, I can't imagine. Bob Sanders, he's on that don't want to fight list of little guys. 888-729-3776. Daniel from Louisiana, thanks for calling the right time.
Thanks, Bo. Man, my story starts with my freshman year in high school. We was doing the Oklahoma drill, and I got my elbow smashed between two helmets because I decided to do an arm tackle. Now, mind you, that still wasn't enough for me to quit. What made me quit was I'm on the sidelines of the game. I forget my jersey at home. So I called my mom to bring me my jersey. This is before the game starts, everybody warming up. But one of the other defensive linemen caught the flu. So the coach walks up to me in front of my mom. Now, mind you, I am one of 4 children. I'm the only boy. He walks up and explains, Derek has the flu. Can you go today? In front of my mom while my arm's in a cast.
What y'all say?
My mom snatched that jersey out my hand. Said, Brian? And she addressed him as Brian because they went to school together. Brian, here's your little jersey. You know what you can do with your little team? How the hell you going to walk up to me, talk about this boy can't play because he got the flu, but my baby can play with his arm in the cast?
What Brian do?
He didn't do nothing because he played football with my father. They all went to school together. And my father had the nickname for him of Oven, and you can guess why?
You said what's the nickname?
Oh, the nickname was Oven.
Oven, oh, got you.
Yeah, because my dad was like, Brian, how the hell is Brian a football coach? He wasn't good at football. He barely played anything for baseball. He was a bench warmer. And my dad started going in after that story. After my mom called my dad came down to the field and let him have it. Pretty much embarrassed him in front of the team. Because last year at Louisiana was one of those times where apparently nobody ever leaves.
Yeah, I'm very familiar there. Hey, man, I hate to cut this short, man, but we got to go to the break. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, beef. You're listening to ESPN.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Domonique Foxworth of the Undefeated will join us next segment. Domonique Foxworth will join us at 5:30 Eastern. The Right Time is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. Upside.com. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. We're letting y'all call in and tell these stories about when you decided you wouldn't play football no more. Let's hit the phones, talk to Cameron in North Carolina. Cameron, thanks for calling The Right Time.
How you doing, Bomani? Doing all right today?
Doing all right, man.
Man, I just want to say, man, what made me quit playing football, it was my 9th grade year in high school, and I was on junior varsity. And after conditioning, my coach decides he wants us to play a scrimmage against varsity. Well, we got the plan and everything, and, of course, we were losing the game and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, somebody had fumbled the football. Well, I decided I was going to pick it up. And there's a big guy named Terrell Stanley that got recruited to play defensive end for ECU, and this guy hit me, and I fumbled the football. And not only did I fumble the football, I cried.
Dang.
So, like, when I was crying, like, I got up and, like, I took my pads off, threw the pads on the field, walked off. My mama picked me up, and all my mama did was look at me and said, I told you so.
Hey, man, Cameron, I appreciate the call. I want to talk about this right fast, about fumbling. I think there's all kinds of things about football that we underestimate, right? And one of them is, can you imagine getting hit as hard as these dudes get hit on a football field and being expected to hold on to whatever it is that you got in your hand? Right? Like, just hold your cell phone in your hand right now and then imagine an NFL player hitting you. You think you're going to hold on to that?
I do imagine, though, that there's more fear of dropping your phone than it is fear of dropping a football.
You got a great point. Like, I realized part of why I could never be a football player is I could never get in line with, like, the principle, the ethos that this ball is that important.
I can almost guarantee that everybody listening to the show right now is a juggler, and they didn't even realize it.
Yeah, that's woo-hoo-hoo. Tapping that thing.
The tip drill with your phone.
Yes, you got no choice. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. So the Steelers apparently shook off the national anthem thing, and they went out there and they put the hurt to the Ravens. That's who they played, right? Well, I guess they were going through their own national anthem thing. Anyway, in that game, Antonio Brown was butt naked open running down the field. Roethlisberger did not throw him the ball. Antonio Brown came on the sideline and acted an entire fool. Shannon, you go with whole or entire in those circumstances? Like people like talk about, he acted a whole fool. I prefer entire.
Probably go entire there.
Yeah, a whole entire fool. He did act an entire fool. And so Ben Roethlisberger was on 93.7, The Fan in Pittsburgh. And, well, Ben Roethlisberger sounds a little judgy.
He got upset because he was open, which I can understand. Sometimes that happens. I was disappointed because it's not like I intentionally missed him. It's not like I intentionally didn't throw it to him. It's unfortunate that it happened, and it's unfortunate that he acted and reacted that way. I know that he's a competitor and he wants the ball, but all of us are competitors. We all want the ball. We all want to make plays. I told him on the sideline, maybe just come talk to me. Ask me what happened. Tell me that you were open. I wish that he would have just come talk to me and tell me, hey, Ben, I killed him on display, whatever. That goes a lot further than throwing a temper tantrum.
Shade. By the way, he wasn't done.
AB is the best receiver in the world, maybe one of the best to ever play the game. And I like to think that him and I together maybe are one of the best quarterback-wide receiver combos that have ever played the game. So I don't know that he needs to react that way. I mean, he's superhuman on the football field. And when that happens, it almost brings him back to being a mere mortal, if you will, because he gets in his head and he just messes with all of us a little bit. And I want AB, and I said this to him. I'm not saying anything that I haven't told him and talked to him about. And we've had private conversations, and I'm not trying to call AB out, but I just think that, this is causing a distraction that none of us really need.
I'm not trying to call AB out, but let me call him out right fast, right? Here's my thing with Roethlisberger on that. If you say it's causing a distraction, I understand you, right? However, you're exacerbating the distraction by talking about it on the radio. Like, I myself would have let this whole thing ride if you had just not said nothing about it. But like, hey, man, breaks of the game, no big deal. It is hard to say that he is creating a distraction and then you go on the radio local and pour gasoline on it. Am I the only person that sees it that way? Like, I feel like it could have gone a little bit smoother if you just shook this off just a little bit. But one thing Ben Roethlisberger wants you to do is he wants you to know that he's leader guy. So we don't think of him as being – but Shannon, what other kind of guys do people think of him being?
Can we say on air? Is that?
I think we probably shouldn't. They know. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Let's hit the phone. Tell the DJ Mike Hitman Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Bo, let's talk about some real sports, man. Football.
Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Bo. You hear me?
Yeah, man.
Well, so I go to somebody's grandma's house. When you get a grandma and they snort that, what they call that, chew that tobacco stuff, and over 80 years old, you think the food going to be good? The food wasn't good, Bo. Miss Smith's food was not good at all. But it made my day because the Cowboys lost. And then she brought down the macaroni cheese that tastes like wood. That macaroni cheese tastes like straight wood. But anyway, Bo, when I looked up at the TV, the Giants lost, so the food was good once again.
Shannon, you there?
I ate Miss Smith's food. No disrespect, Miss Smith. I know you're 85 years old. You forgot how to cook. When you get that age, your mind goes left and right, and chewing that tobacco make it go left and right quick. But the food was pretty good because you're old. But I thought about Shannon. Shannon would have sat at that table and watch his team lose. And I did predict the Bears would win the game before the Giants did. So go back and check the tape, Shannon. How you doing, Bo?
All right, but he did say the Bears would win the game before the Giants.
That is correct, and I applaud him for that. I appreciate him calling in Tuesday after the Cowboys lost.
You say about
I appreciate the call on Tuesday because apparently the 3 hours of the show we had yesterday weren't enough, huh? I appreciate that. But I'm telling you right now, DJ Mike Hitman, I'm telling you that, prepare for it. It's going from coast to coast right now. Strive for great at 8-8. The Giants are going 8-8, baby. We are coming. So if you get these jokes and these wins out now, because we're coming.
Hey, Shannon, one more thing, then. You're going to need another quarterback before the season over with because they're going to have to bench him. One or two things going to happen. That coach going to be fired, E-Man going to be out for the year. So what you predict? First round pick, New York Giants. LSU quarterback. You can get USU or you get LSU. Anywhere it go, y'all still going to be guys. Cowboy running nation. Have a good one, Bo.
All right, Mike. Shannon, didn't make you feel any better, did it?
I didn't, but thanks for the call, Mike.
You tried. All right, coming up next, Domonique Foxworth of The Undefeated, talking about the NFL on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. If you've got goals, GNC's got the protein for you. GNC AMP Whey Bolic is clinically proven to increase muscle size and strength in just 8 weeks. Total Lean is the most comprehensive line of weight management protein. GNC has the best popular brands from Optimum and Muscle Tech, and in-store exclusives from Ghost and Performix. Try all the awesome, great tasting flavors like cereal milk, Tahitian vanilla, Fruity Charms, and Fudge Brownie. Save big with GNC's Beat 'em by a buck price match guarantee. Find the right protein formula for your goal at GNC.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. Check him out at theundefeated.com. Also, the Nickel Package Podcast, Thursdays with Mina Kimes. His name is Domonique Foxworth. Domonique, we were just talking about Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. Roethlisberger went on the radio and said that Antonio Brown had caused a distraction. My argument is, well, I mean, you're talking about it on the radio. Now we're talking about it on the radio, hence the distraction. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we've had this conversation about distractions before. Like, I just generally don't believe in distractions for football teams. Like, guys have, I think it was Kirk Cousins had a baby last week. Nobody talking about that's a distraction. Like, it's just ridiculous. Guys have so many things going on in their lives. They're regular people. They have plenty of things going on. You don't get to the NFL without being able to compartmentalize things and focus on the game. So just a guy throwing a tantrum on the sideline is not a distraction. How about you throw the ball to the man who's open so you can score a touchdown, and we won't have that issue. I think that's more the problem than anything is Ben Roethlisberger has not been playing all that well, and when someone's showing you up when you're not doing your job that well, it gets pretty embarrassing.
Now, do you guys as football players get annoyed with the receivers because they seem to be the ones who do these things?
No, I mean, it's you kind of earn it though. Like a guy like AB is somebody who can throw a tantrum every now and then because he's a quality player. You know that he cares and he's playing hard. I mean, it's an emotional game. It's hard for me to begrudge anybody who gets a little emotional out there, considering what everyone's putting on the line when they're playing. So I don't know. I think I watched that play several times, and it seemed like the type of play that you only run once a year. And if it works, you got a touchdown. And if it doesn't work, you can never run it again because people are expecting it. And it worked. And Ben Roethlisberger was looking at him and then decided not to throw it to him, even though he was wide open. Like, I could understand being upset about that in that situation.
We're talking to Domonique Foxworth, the Undefeated, here on The Right Time. Switching gears, we'll talk about last night's game. What are your thoughts on that Kansas City offense?
Yeah, the Kansas City offense is, I mean, I don't mean it in like a negative way, but it's a college offense. And we hear for so many years that you can't win in the NFL with a running quarterback, or you can't win with like those spread-style college offenses. But you watched that game last night, and that's what they're running. Alex Smith is doing this read option, essentially a read option play with Kelsey as the inside man on those shovel passes, and then occasionally they'll bring Tariq Hill in on the jet sweep. They're just running all these kind of misdirection, trickeration plays. They even ran an inverted wishbone with Travis Kelsey at quarterback. Like, they are gimmick central. They run a bunch of really creative plays, and I don't know. I kind of like it because it just seems like so much of the league is kind of wed to this idea that you can only win in one way. You have to win with this pocket passer. Maybe that's the way that people believe has worked in the past, but it doesn't seem like there are enough good pocket passers out there. So maybe some people should start being a little more creative and figuring out how to use their quarterbacks and their other players' strengths. That's the most important, the most impressive thing to me about the Chiefs and Andy Reid is he takes his players and he builds a system that looks unlike any other system that he's ever run before around the talents of the players that he has. And I call that coaching. Sadly, not enough coaches in the league do that.
Now, what do you think of the prospect of the league catching up, though? Because I noticed the first time they tried to run that triple option with the tight end on the shovel pass, Washington was like, oh, no, we saw that on film, buddy.
Yeah, they stopped it. But if you notice, was the play before, I think it was the third quarter, they scored a touchdown on Alex Smith running. 2 plays before that, they ran a similar-looking play, except they ran Kareem Hunt out
wide, and he did like a pitch option. So they have variations off of it. That's another thing that I always like about Andy Reid is so many people run plays in isolation, like they draw up a play and this is a good play. But Andy Reid has kind of everything as a package. So he has a play, but that play is setting up a different play, which is then setting up a different play. So once you figure out how to stop whatever it is that they're doing, they have a play that's off of it that'll exploit whatever you're doing to stop that. And that's what happened in that game. So they're staying ahead of the defense is important. And they, like I mentioned, they ran an inverted wishbone, and all they did out of that was run a read option with Travis Kelce. I guarantee you that they have 3 other plays off of that will hurt the defense if they start to overload on the Travis Kelce read option.
All right, we're talking to Domonique Foxworth of the Undefeated here on the Right Time. Now, on the other side of that game, how much is it going to hurt Washington to be without Josh Norman for 2 to 4 weeks?
Oh, yeah, that's a problem. They play a lot of zone coverage, which you tend to think kind of protects the corners. They generally play a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3, but that defense does blitz fairly often also. You need someone to be able to lock up on the outside. And Josh Norman, I think, you think of traditional cornerbacks as someone who can lock up a guy man-to-man and you don't have to worry about him. But Josh Norman and Richard Sherman are guys who major in zone coverage and still have a pretty big impact on the game. I was certainly shocked. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was in Washington last year when he left that defensive line that he had down in Carolina. But he's a playmaker, and he makes plays, and to the degree that his attitude is something that matters to that team, it does seem like he's kind of the outspoken, emotional guy on that team, and that's something that can't always be measured. I'm not sure how much it matters, but if it matters, they're gonna miss it when Josh is out.
Now, with those zone corners, because that's almost a pejorative term that people use to say a guy is just a zone corner, but what makes one of them better than another?
Yeah, I think it's about route recognition and reaction time. So I think so we'll give you an example. If you're in cover 3 and the number 2 receiver runs a flat, that means that the number 1 receiver is most likely going to run a curl, maybe because they're trying to attack the hook defender in that situation. In cover 3, that is not your responsibility. That's the hook defender's responsibility. But if you know that that's coming, then you can aggressively jump on that. That was something that I saw watching the game last night. I watched the game last week with Josh Norman. Is he abandons his coverage on occasion, but it's not just like guessing. He knows what the quarterback knows, he knows what the quarterback sees, and he sees an opportunity to make a play. And that's something that comes from being a good zone corner. Good man corners aren't, I don't mean to be like rude, like they don't have to be smart. They are smart guys mostly, but they don't have to be smart. A good zone corner has to be kind of very smart and aware of everything. A man corner, you say, that's your dude, don't let him get away. And a guy like Josh Norman is someone who can make plays even when he's not supposed to, whereas that's a man corner. You kind of take him out of the games, you don't throw at him.
Yeah, I was about to say, so take a guy as crazy talented as Patrick Peterson, for example. Do you think he'd be as good in a zone setup as Josh Norman or Richard Sherman would be?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I don't know. I haven't watched Patrick play enough zone. He seems like someone who is aware of what's going on, but that comes with repetition. Like being able to see and react to something, you have to see it a lot. And he's the type of guy who goes up, man coverage, press, and he takes out the best receiver and you don't think about him ever again, which is a hugely valuable thing. But I'm not sure that he has those same abilities in zone. I haven't seen him do it as consistently as I've seen Sherman and Norman do it.
All right, that is Domonique Foxworth. Check him out, theundefeated.com. Also, the Nickel Package Podcast, Thursdays with Mina Cobbs. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
Always, thank you.
All right, now you catch Domonique Foxworth every Tuesday here on The Right Time. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Domonique Foxworth of the Undefeated for joining us last segment. Chris Singleton of ESPN will join us in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour to talk some baseball. This weekend went on the field and at home with bouquets from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for $29.99, you get an extra bouquet for free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We're still taking your phone calls about that day you realize you ain't want to play football no more because it just hurt too bad. Anyway, preseason basketball has started. I don't really engage in preseason activities of any sort because for who, for what. Let me know when the season starts. I have heard, though, that apparently the Celtics look really good on offense in their first preseason game. Again, I can only take your word for it. But Kyrie Irving apparently wore a cap after the game And across the front of the cap, it said, popularity contests are not truth contests. What the hell is a truth contest? Shannon, you ever been in a truth contest? I feel like the only place only place that does truth contests is court.
Or a lie detector test. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Like a court of law, like those are the truth. Man, which one of y'all told Kyrie he was deep? Like, I feel like someone had to reinforce for him that he was deep. Like, he must have a squad of friends that he tells this stuff to, and they'd be like, yo, man, I hadn't even thought of it like that. You're right.
But see, what I don't understand, though, with Kyrie's deepness is he went the other way with it, though. If you're going to be deep, you don't shave the beard. You grow the beard out.
That is a great point.
Hair. You get the sponge brush and start doing that with your hair.
That is a great point. So is he like trying to do like corporate deep? Is that what he's trying to go for? Because you're right about that. Is he still out here looking untrustworthy in the face? He's still doing that. Like, Kyrie shaved the hair off of his face like he was 38 years old trying to get back to 32. Like, that seemed to be, like, did he start getting gray in the beard and we didn't realize it? Because that's when cats decide they're going to make that move. It's like, yo, getting kind of gray. I need to go ahead and take this all the way down. I watch my brother do it periodically. I understand that's just what the game is when you get to that point. But Kyrie, he's not old enough for that. He's not there. But you know what Kyrie is? Kyrie is woke.
Oh, if you're very much woke, there is no such thing as distraction.
Okay. Do that again.
Oh, if you're very much woke, there is no such thing as distraction.
Okay. The best part about that is the O. Oh, if you're very much woke. Play that one more time.
Oh, if you're very much woke, there is no such thing as distraction.
Okay. The other part I like is clearly he hadn't thought this all the way out because I feel like he would have had better phrasing than very much woke. Like, I don't even know what the degrees of wokeness are.
Right, it's one or the other. You're either woke or you're not. You can't be very woke. You can't be haphazardly woke.
Well, here's my question. What's better, to be, like, woke for a long time or just woke up? Because I feel like if you woke for a long time, that means you're going to be tired and you're going to be a little bit off your game. But if you just woke up, you as fresh as you're going to be. Is there like an optimal level of wokeness? Like that 9 o'clock in the morning woke? Like, I feel like 9 o'clock in the morning is probably about as woke as you're going to be. And then after that, your woke declines as you expend energy. Is that perhaps it?
Can you peak at your wokeness during the course of the day? Like, can you take a 5-hour energy and get back to your 2 o'clock woke?
That is
how does this work?
That is a very good question, man. That is why we call him Kung Fu Kyrie, right? Like, everything to him sounds like something that came out of a Kung Fu movie. Kyrie Irving, one day Kyrie Irving is going to answer a question with one hand clapping. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We talked a little bit earlier about LaMelo Ball going to homeschool. Let's hit the phones and talk to William in Florida. William, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, how you doing, Bomani?
Doing all right, man.
All right. I told Shannon, I was going to tell you, in the homeschool community, there's people who are very crazy. There's people who homeschool because of wicked. You know, they worship the devil. That's not my testimony. I was just saying, I understand, like, a lot of kids I know that play golf and other sports, they do that, especially gymnasts really do that a lot. And also people who act, they do a lot of homeschooling because they can't be at regular school all the time.
Right.
So I was just saying it is an alternative. And I told Shannon, one thing most people don't know is that Jason Taylor, who just got in the Hall of Fame, he was homeschooled for a period of time. I think in high school.
Oh, okay. Well, no, man, I appreciate it.
It's an option, but you don't see a lot of us doing it. And just because you don't see a lot of us doing it doesn't mean it's a viable option.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, and I appreciate the call, is that you don't see it as much with guys in team sports. The difference between this, like Tim Tebow was homeschooled all the way through. The difference is Tim Tebow was playing for the high school team. LaMelo ain't playing for the high school team anymore, right? Like, that's where this is a different level of the homeschool. The other thing that most people don't realize is Shannon doesn't screen the calls.
I was wondering how you was talking to me while I was on air. That was amazing.
They always think they're talking to you. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Let y'all call in and talk about why y'all stopped playing football. Let's talk to Encore from Florida. Encore, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Love your show.
Thank you, man.
So I grew up in a small town in Illinois, and this was freshman year in high school. I was second-string defensive end, but I kicked off. And because of the small town, it was very lack of diversification, how to put it. And we played a school that was very diversified, and they came to play that day. And I kicked off. I'm probably 30 yards away, not even close, and I got laid out. I mean, and the ref probably didn't see it because I was so far away. I was just jogging my way towards the line of scrimmage where I was getting the ball, and someone took me out, and he's like, "Welcome to football." And I was like, "Goodbye to football." So that was the last. After I got that hit, I got back on the bench, and I tried to never play another game. And that was the last time I committed to playing football, because if I'm not even near where the ball is and I'm getting laid out, what could happen when I have the ball?
Well, hey, man, I appreciate the call. Number one, Shannon, not what I expected from Encore from Florida.
Now, I do have Jay-Z's Encore on my head.
Yeah, that was not what I expected. I do like that one. Welcome to football. What you mean? I'm out. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, do Shannon's Giants actually have a chance in the NFC East? We'll talk about that on ESPN Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Welcome to The Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. The Bomani Bowl last night, Washington and Kansas City, Alex Smith versus Kirk Cousins, actually turned out to be a pretty good game. And, by the way, a game that I think was interesting in looking at what's going to happen with the NFL for the rest of the season. I was betting coming into this year that Washington was going to be in full-on disaster mode. Now, granted, as a franchise, they've basically been in disaster mode for the better part of the last 20 years. But with everything that happened this offseason with that team, all right, I was like, okay, no, this is going to fall apart, all while they have one of the more unique quarterback situations that any of us can think of in the history of the league, as they've got a guy that they probably can't bring back because they're not going to be able to afford him, and he's not necessarily that good, but the receiving core around him isn't as good as it had been in previous years. The head coach wasn't calling plays last year. The Wonder Boy play caller is now with the Rams, and they're on fire. Now the head coach goes back to calling plays. We had questions about what Washington had on defense. Yo, dude, they look good. They didn't win the game last night, but they played against a team that hasn't lost to anybody. The offense looked at the very least capable. Cousins hit on a couple of big shots. They weren't necessarily great throws, but he hit on the big shots. The defense, though, Shannon and I were talking about this before the show. Jonathan Allen matters on that defense. Like, rookie from Alabama, our man Steve White at SB Nation said, watching, going through film and everything else, he's like, look, this dude is guaranteed to be that guy. He slipped down to number 17, and he looks like he is that dude, right? He looks to be as good as advertised. So Washington made two significant, I think, additions on their defense. They brought him in, and then they got DJ Swearinger playing safety, and it is very, very interesting what the Maniac safety can do for your team, especially when you just get the Maniac safety. Like when the Maniac safety is new to your team, Shady, he's a breath of fresh air. Then you start racking up them 15s.
He's here to change the culture. He brings an attitude, a toughness that we've needed here on this team.
And that's what they said he has done. Apparently, I heard, was John Gruden talking about during the game, that he's out there making the checks for the defense. Normally, the Maniac doesn't get to do that. I think that's the thing that's interesting in Cincinnati, too, where Vontaze Burfict is the in-house Maniac, but he does all those things also. But Josh Norman is out for, I think he said, 2 to 4 weeks with broken ribs, which, painful. Like your ribs are broken. They're like, so what's it hurt to do? Breathe. You got broken ribs. You sitting around like, I'm going to tell you this one time, bro. You tell me one more joke, and then after I heal up, we're going to have to fight. But for right now, I'm just going to have to sit over here and be in pain. Like, imagine what that torture would be for Josh Norman sitting there with broken ribs, and then you put Friday in the tape deck. Oh, it hurt. Oh, it hurt so bad. But it's smoky. That's Smokey and Hector chicken coop. But this could flip things, man. Like, this could, I have been surprised. I think I've watched at least parts, because the first game they played was on Monday night, so I watched that one. I watched a decent bit of the Rams game because they had the situation with the Dallas-Denver game that week with the delay or whatever it was, and then they played last night. They look like a good team.
And what's funny about the NFC East as a whole is that everything that we were certain about we don't know now. And everything that we had questions about seems like to be a positive for these teams. You just mentioned the Redskins' defense, right?
Right.
Washington's defense, they seem to be fast and athletic. Dallas's offensive line.
Not
One
so
of the
great.
more guarantees in the league. Now we starting to have questions. Philly's offense, the wide receivers and their secondary.
Yes.
Granted, the wide receivers are still struggling a little bit, but their secondary has improved.
Yes.
And then the Giant.
Well, a surprise there. We thought their defense would be good.
And we thought that their offense, at least in the passing game, would be better than it has been.
We thought their defense would be good. Jenny, you got any bright side for your team? What about the Ingram dude, the rookie? He seems to be bringing something.
Yes, not his inability to block and getting a personal foul on his first career touchdown against Dallas. That was a highlight so far.
That's your bad. He looks like he's going to be good. He looks like he's going to be a very, very good player.
He's a weapon.
Yes.
I think at this point, that's all he is a weapon.
I tell you this, though. They sure wish he could block a little better, don't they? Because that's what they don't have.
See, that's the difference between a full-time player and a weapon. See, a weapon, you can't guarantee. You can't play him all the time. You can only use him in spots.
He's a specialist.
Right. The Giants, in their inability to block from the start with their offensive line, they couldn't afford a weapon.
So basically, he's like the guy in basketball you got to hide on defense. That's what he is, right? He just gets buckets. That's what he does. He provides buckets. Okay. But no, I want to see what winds up happening with Washington. I'm very, very curious to see what it's going to be with that team because their receivers. So Terrell Pryor has the talent to be not just a number one wide receiver. He has the talent to be legitimately a Hall of Fame wide receiver. His route game isn't that strong. I felt so bad for Josh Doctson last night, though. Like, Doctson, here's a crazy thing about the NFL, right? Because I don't know exactly what the origins are on this, but our expectation is that if a wide receiver can get his hand on the ball, then he absolutely has to catch it. Like, we have so much more leeway that we cut to the quarterback in those situations than we cut to the wide receiver. So there's that play late into the end zone for Washington. Cousins made the throw that you had to make. Like, that was the place to put the ball, but it was going to require a great catch. Doctson almost made the great catch. He hits the ground, he loses the ball. The broadcast team is killing him for not making a great catch. And I'm like, bro, do you realize what we're saying? Like, you can't have it where if he makes the catch, it's great. If he doesn't make the catch, then he should have made the catch. If he should have made the catch, then the catch shouldn't have been great. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it can't be both ways, where either you did something spectacular or you are a failure. It can't be both of those, right? But Doctson is cold. That's the one with the TCU, right? Because they had another one at Baylor. Was it Corey Coleman or whatever his name that went to Baylor that same year? I tend to get those dudes mixed up. All guys that probably could have gone to Texas. But anyway, Doctson is, like, physically unreal. Does anybody have a better pair of wide receivers physically than Pryor on one side and Doctson on the other? Problem is, they're both really, really new to this. Right? Like, Pryor's not that new to it, but I saw somebody make a point where they said about Pryor will never be a number one wide receiver because he's trying not to get hit. Well, imagine what that transition is to go from being quarterback to being a wide receiver, because at quarterback, you're supposed to try not to get hit. That's the whole thing. You're too valuable. He's still saying that. I'm too valuable to be over here going over the middle.
Not to mention a big wide receiver. So that invites the contact, and you're not allowed that same leeway that you would if you were a smallish wideout.
Nah, he's huge. He is huge. And he can be very good. Washington is asking a lot of him, though. A lot. Because he could be a number one receiver one day. He is not a number one receiver right now. Now, they had a number one receiver on their team last year, and they let him leave. He's in Tampa right now. So you think about that, Shannon. Deshaun Jackson on one side, Doctson on the other. Who is there to stop Doctson from going deep?
Or a depth chart with having Pryor, Jackson, and Doctson. Just think how scary that would be.
Yeah.
And then with your tight ends being Reed and Davis.
Well, you got Crowder in there, right?
And you got Crowder as well, yes.
Yo, Washington has, like, all the good players who, when you put them all together, you're like, wow, these guys are really good. Like, no one name jumps out, but then when you go through a list, you're like, wow, you guys have a lot of good players. It's very similar, though not the same. I'm not saying that the Washington football team is similar to the Beatles' Revolver. However, there are Beatles albums that have much bigger hits and more hits on them than Revolver, but the sum of the parts on Revolver, you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of really good songs. It's kind of how you feel about Washington sometimes. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Y'all are calling up with your stories about not playing football anymore because y'all caught that buyout. Sit the phones and talk to Chris in Georgia. Chris, thanks for calling the right time.
Bomani, man. Hey, man,
Dude, I hear you with the topic, and I had to chime in. This is the first time I ever told this story, man. Outside of my running back crew, America's the only, you guys know what's going on. So basically, in college, I was a fullback. We were doing blocking drills, running drills, rather, where you get the ball and you run. There's one of your teammates is holding the blocking dummy, and you hit it and spin off of it. And it's just one of these kind of drills that get you tired before practice. So going through the drill, my turn comes up. Yeah, I hit the dummy, spin off, and all of a sudden everything goes black. When I come to, my helmet is sitting there on one side of the sideline. My chin strap is off. My mouthpiece. I didn't realize what happened until I saw my mouthpiece 5 yards away. One of my buddies said, I hit the dummy, spun in the air, landed straight on my face with my helmet off, and coach didn't even stop the drill. They just moved 5 yards down the field. I still tell everybody to this day, I quit to concentrate on academics. I couldn't go back to practice. I couldn't talk to anybody, man. I mean, my teammates, when I go to homecoming, everybody just look down at the ground when they talk about that situation, man. It was horrible.
You knocked yourself out with the tackling dummy?
With the blocking dummy. It wasn't even a tackling dummy. It was a handheld dummy that one of my teammates holds up when you hit it. Yeah, it's not my finest moment. But I have a great degree in communications at this point, Bomani.
Well, hey, man, well, just tell me this. Like, what level of football are we talking about here?
Now, this is D1AA. D1AA.
Okay. Yeah, hey, man. I'm glad you were able to get that degree, my brother.
Hey, man, that's what it's for, man. We go to school for education, right?
There you go. But, man, I appreciate the call, man. All right, now, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Coming up next, find out who got caught calling the weed man. You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Singleton will join us next segment. Chris Singleton will join us at 6:30 Eastern. Get you ready for some playoff baseball. That's the Old Soul song of the day, American Girl by Tom Petty. Rest in peace to Tom Petty, who had an incredible ability to not be from where you are from, but make you feel like he was speaking about an experience very particular, not just to you, but what you were from. I mean, not all you, but still, it resonates with a few of you. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. So we got some quarterback news. Derek Carr is going to be out 2 to 6 weeks with a broken back. But they call it a transverse process fracture in his back. It's something broken and it's in his back. That right there, that counts as a broken back to me. That's enough. He is gone. E.J. Manuel, it sounds like, will be the dude who will they're going to throw E.J. Manuel out there, bro. You realize they go throw E.J. Manuel out there. I was about to say, I know you feel like I need to expound upon that, Eddie. E.J. Manuel will be playing quarterback for the Raiders. Shannon, they got to go get somebody else, right?
What, E.J. Manuel and Connor Cook? That's the depth chart now with Carr being out.
It's got to be somebody, right?
That's what they're rolling with right now. They don't have a quarterback on their practice squad, so that
Jim Plunkett ain't around town nowhere. Where's Vince Evans? They can't call Vince Evans? Daryl LaMonica? I mean, I feel like one of those guys should be in a situation right now where they could get this done. I feel like you call Fran Tarkenton right now, he'd be like, I'm ready. Or Brett Favre.
Don't we got a Tuiasosopo Pasopo? Is he available?
He's in a booth. He's in the booth. But you telling me that if you call Brett Favre, he won't think about it? Just give it some consideration. So, yeah, that's what the Raiders are going to try to do to get themselves through. The Titans, they say Mariota is day-to-day with a hamstring injury. And so the Titans had a workout with Matt Barkley, Matt McGloin, and T.J. Yates. And they actually signed the fourth guy who came to that workout, who would be Brandon Whedon. So Brandon Whedon will be on the Tennessee Titans. We'll see how long he stays on the roster. And this, by the way, reminds you that this is the thing about the Weed Man. Weed Man don't never have a job, right? Like, Weed Man always starting a new job. Shani, you ever notice that about the Weed Man? The Weed Man is always starting a new job. How many different jobs is this that the Weed Man has had since he got into the league? Can we look this up? Because I feel like the Weed Man is always bouncing from one job to another. The only thing is, and this is where I'm a little bit confused with the Titans, man, the Weed Man ain't reliable. Now, who do you know that ever has found the Weed Man to be reliable? In fact, do we know if the Weed Man actually made it to the Titans facility? Shannon, we got to answer how many jobs the Weed Man's had.
Yeah, this will be his fourth team.
Fourth team?
Yes.
Okay. And the Weed Man has had 4 jobs, and this is what, year 6? 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, it's like year 6 for the Weed Man. But you know the Weed Man's not reliable. In fact, like I said, do we know that the Weed Man actually made it over to the Titans facility? There's somebody there being like, hey, man, I thought you said you called the Weed Man. Yeah, he said he on the way. I mean, what time is he supposed to get here? Look, man, he said he was going to run some errands, do some things over on this side of town, and then he was going to wind up coming through. Well, dog, send him a text, man. We're trying to get this thing going. Hey, so you sent a text like 30 minutes ago. You hear from the Weed Man? Yeah, man, he said he on the interstate. Like this is where we are with the Titans, where they have just made the decision. Like, you know what? If worst come to worst, we need somebody to save us in a pinch. We just gonna call the Weed Man. By the way, remember when they said that your backup quarterback needed to be similar to your starting quarterback because the coach didn't want to change up his system? Anybody remember that? And, like, I don't even want to fight that fight anymore because I don't think Kaepernick's getting a job. Like, I think that we could point this out every time somebody winds up getting signed. You have the same discussion every single time. Like, it did. I question how fruitful that whole line of things is at this point. So instead, I would just simply rather make jokes about the Weed Man. By the way, Shannon, isn't the Weed Man a little too old to still be doing this? Oh, the Weed Man, like 45?
He is 33. He'll turn 34 next week.
Yeah, no. I look at all of this, man. I just feel like the Weed Man is just a little bit too old to be just sitting around at the house, laid up on the couch, waiting for the phone to call. So just trying to see if somebody got some work, right? Like, I feel like at that point in your life, if you're not like steadily working, you need to go find some. That's what he needs to do. You need to go find some steady work. That's what he needs to be doing. Instead, he just sitting there on the couch, acting like he really wants a call, and then if he gets the call, but then act like he don't want no money. I just don't understand. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Letting you boys call in with these stories about the time you got hit so hard you decided not to play football anymore. Let's hit the phone and talk to Trevor from Texas. Trevor, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's up, Bo? How you doing, man? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. So I grew up in Dallas playing 7th grade football. I know you understand, right?
Yes.
7th grade, everyone plays football if you want to be in PE or nothing. So I play quarterback and also playing on special teams on kickoff. So last game of the season, we get to play on the high school field. My grandparents come in town from Toronto, right? All my family's from up north, so they come down to watch, the last game, big game. On a kickoff near the end of the game, the ball lands right between me and a teammate, and we're both staring at each other. Keep in mind, man, I'm about 5'0", maybe 90 pounds. So we're both staring at each other saying, no, you get it. No, you get it. So finally, I grab the ball, start trucking upfield about 10 yards. Dude on the other team, about my size, dives at my knees. So I push off his helmet and do a spin move to the right. Dude, I'm flying high right now, right? Thinking I'm balling. I take 2 steps, finally pick my head up, only to see their middle linebacker coming right down on me. I wake up, facing the sky to the smelling salts, knocked out cold. My teammate said my cleats kicked me in the face mask, landed on the back of my neck, and had to go out, sit out for the next series. Came back in the game after that, scored the only touchdown of the game on a quarterback sneak. Right after that, my parents took me to the hospital, had a concussion. I said, nope, football's done for me. I'm too small for this sport.
Yeah, when you kick yourself silly, Trevor, I appreciate the call. It's probably time to move on. 888-729-3776. Jay from Florida, thanks for calling the right time.
How you doing, Bo?
Doing all right, man.
Good. So, first series of the game, we're on offense. I play guard and DN. Our running back fumbles. I reach out to try to grab the ball in the air, and one of their D linemen hits me square in the chest, or square in the back, while another guy hits my arm. So, just bending my elbow all the way back, so that way my elbow touched the middle of my back, and I dislocated my shoulder for the 15th time.
Ew.
Then, it took out. So I was obviously very upset because that hurt. So they end up getting the ball and scoring. On the next kickoff, I see the guy who hit me on the kickoff. So instead of blocking my normal assignment, I just run full speed at him and hit him as hard as I can. The other team didn't like the fact that I did that. So the next kickoff, me and this other guy who were beefing ran straight at each other and just went helmet to helmet. The world went black. I stumble off the field. They ask me if I'm all right. I just say, yeah, my shoulder popped out. I'll be fine. And they're like, cool, go in again. Next kickoff, I go and I hit the guy again, helmet to helmet, and I get knocked out. Next thing I know, I wake up, and I'm yelling at a teammate for some reason. I don't know why, and I started throwing up. And I'm lucky I didn't get second impact syndrome, but after that I was like, you know what, maybe I should just stick to lacrosse and stop doing this.
Which, by the way, not the safest thing that you could do. But, man, thanks so much for the call. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, if the Yankees lose tonight, is the season a disappointment? We'll talk to Chris Singleton of ESPN right here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Just like our next guest, he'll be calling the AL wildcard game tonight with Boog Shambi, Yankees Twins. His name is Chris Singleton. All right, Chris, so for the Yankees this year, how surprised were you that they got to this point?
Pretty surprised, Bomani, when you look at it was a quote-unquote rebuilding year Brian Cashman and the Yankees were going to enter into in 2017, and to have young players really carry the load, and Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez offensively. We knew the talent was there, but the way that last season ended, particularly for Aaron Judge, you didn't know if he was going to be able to demonstrate the plate discipline on a regular basis to be an everyday player, and let alone possibly MVP in the American League. We know he's got Rookie of the Year locked down, but beyond that, health in the starting rotation, would they be able to stay healthy? And for the most part, they were. Michael Pineda, who was a pitcher that was pitching really well and surprising a lot of us, looked like for a time they had a pretty formidable rotation in terms of guys that had nasty stuff, could get it done. But with all that said, yeah, it's a bit of a surprise if you go back to spring training where they are, where the Yankees are right now. But with some of the trades they made, getting David Robertson back, Tommy Kahnle, and Sonny Gray as well, who's on the roster tonight. He's a starting pitcher that's got postseason experience. You're looking and saying, hey, whoever, if the Yankees advance from this wild card game, you're the Cleveland Indians. You're not just kind of resting easy and saying, oh, we got the wild card team. You got a team that could really hurt you.
Well, also it's the baseball postseason, right? Once you're in, anybody can win this.
Yeah, in one game. I mean, and you've heard Joe Girardi talk about it because they got bounced 2 years ago by the Houston Astros in that one game wild card. And so, yeah, it is a long season, 162 games, and you battle your butt off, to get to the postseason, and to have it be decided by one game. It's a little disappointing in terms of for the teams that have fought to get here. But as a broadcaster, hey, you love this Game 7 or win or go home type of scenario. But I can understand people on the field wanting a 3-game series in it.
All right, we're talking to Chris Singleton of ESPN Radio here on The Right Time. Now, how worried would you be for the Yankees given all the youth they have in a game this big?
I'm not worried about it, not at all, and especially here at Yankee Stadium. I think this is a team that, unlike really any other Yankee team of my lifetime, and you're a bit older than I am, Bomani, so I'll say your lifetime too. I'll go out on a limb there. I'm messing with you, but I'll say that look at these guys. These guys have fun, man. You see what they do in the dugout when they celebrate and they score. When did you ever see a Yankee team have this kind of personality? Yeah, they had winners and they had these professional guys, but I think with that said is that they have fun, man, and they don't take things too seriously, and that's dangerous when you got talent and you go out and you play relaxed and loose, and that's what I expect for them to do tonight.
All right, John, to Chris Singleton of ESPN Radio here on The Right Time. Now, for both teams, how quickly do you think they'll be willing to go to the bullpen in this one?
I think I'm going to guess. Yeah, you can never, totally predict, but I'm going to guess that, Severino goes out, and with the power that he's got, that he pitches well. I think with Santana and the Twins being the underdog, that Paul Molitor is going to have to kind of, keep his hand on the button a lot earlier than Joe Girardi. And I think also with the fact that the Yankees have such an ability to get back in a ball game with one swing with several guys, throughout that lineup, that he's not going to have as quick a hook with Luis Severino as Paul Molitor might need to have with Irvin Santana. Now, with that said, the bullpen, it's not very good for the Minnesota Twins. And maybe perhaps the bright spot, if you needed a pitcher to go multiple innings, is the rookie Jose Barrios in the power arm that he's got. But, again, he's not a guy that's comfortable or, and I say comfortable because he hasn't had the experience really pitching out of the bullpen at this level. And, he's also a young pitcher himself. So we'll see how he handles it. But, everything leans towards the Yankees winning this game and advancing to the division series. But with that said, you got to come out. You got to play the games. You got to play the game. You got to play all 9 innings. And it's really anybody's ball game.
All right, now Miguel Sano was left off the roster for tonight. Do you think he'll be missed?
It's a good question. He's been really out of the lineup since, the third week of August, and this Minnesota Twins team, I tried to say, has played pretty well without him. And that's not to say, hey, over the course of a long season that you can absorb the loss of an all-star player like Miguel Sano. But through the tough stretch of this season, through the end of August and through September, when you are, jockeying and try to hold on to that second wild card, for this team to have, pushed through the finish line to get here, it shows me something. They've got not only talent and they're kind of young, but they've got a resolve as well. So with Sano being out, the only thing, if he was 100% healthy, that I would say, yeah, you want that guy at least in a pinch hitting situation to come off the bench and be able to one swing change the game. But with that said, talking to Paul Molitor pregame today, they tried to get him back in the lineup over the weekend. Didn't look good, and then yesterday when he took some batting practice in the cage, he really couldn't, even in the cage, really cut it loose and swing and have his legs underneath him. So that was the deciding factor that, listen, we just can't have him on the roster because even though it's one at bat and maybe one or two swings, those aren't even comfortable for him.
All right, we're talking to Chris Singleton of ESPN Radio. On the call for the Yankees Twins is at 7:30 Eastern, immediately following the right time. Let's broaden out just a little bit while I got you before we let you go. How do you feel about the Dodgers in the National League of this season of incredible peaks and one hell of a valley?
Yeah, it's here's what I got on that, and kind of awaits the outcome of tomorrow night's wild card game, Rockies or the Diamondbacks. I think that if the Rockies win the wild card game, then I feel pretty comfortable that the Dodgers advance to they'll win the division series, advance to the National League Championship Series, and have a really good opportunity. I mean, they'd probably be the favorite to go to the World Series. But if the Diamondbacks win, we may see an upset out in L.A. because the Diamondbacks match up very well against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and have a lot of confidence, especially over the last couple of months of the season, in their head-to-head matchups. And with having a couple lefties in that starting rotation, and Robbie Ray, Patrick Corbin, and the Dodgers having some struggles with lefties, over the past couple of seasons, that's really one to keep an eye on. So, Diamondbacks win tomorrow, I think it's going to be a pretty good series, out west.
And how nervous do you think Nationals fans should be about Max Scherzer and his hamstring?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's a concern because that's your guy. I mean, they just as the Dodgers have a clear-cut number one, he's that clear-cut number one for the Nationals. And not all the teams in the playoffs this year necessarily have, that clear-cut, dominant, number one starter. But Scherzer is that guy. He's the guy that absolutely wants the ball with, as much pressure as possible. And that's the guy that Dusty Baker wants, to have the ball. So that, that's a concern. So it could possibly fall a little bit more to Steven Strasburg. Gio Gonzalez has had a really good year as well. But I'm also curious about the health of Bryce Harper and where is he going to be in terms of timing and his ability to really play the game the way he's capable of and have a presence enough to whereas, he is feared by the other team. It's one thing to have a guy in the lineup, but hey, he's hurting and he can't really go. But if you have in your mind that, yeah, this guy's pretty much back to 100%, even though he hasn't had a whole lot of at-bats to end the season, we have to approach this lineup differently if you're the Cubs. And so we'll see how that goes. But Scherzer and Harper, two key critical guys, I think, for the success of the Nationals to get Dusty Baker his first World Series.
All right, that is Chris Singleton. He's on the call tonight. Yankees Twins, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio, immediately following the right time. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thank you. And I know you're only like 10 years older than me, so it's all
just
good,
a little
bro.
bit. Just a little bit, man. I'm trying to stay close. All right, man, you take it easy. Tune in tonight for the AL wildcard game as the Yankees host the Twins, presented by AutoZone. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pinto Performance Line. Thanks to Chris Singleton of ESPN for joining us last segment. Jeff Goodman of ESPN will join us next segment. Jeff Goodman will join us at 7 o'clock Eastern to talk about LaMelo Ball, saying he ain't got no time for school. That's right. We give you an extra half hour, The Right Time tonight. Take you into Yankees-Twins wildcard game. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone numbers. Y'all still calling in, talking about that time y'all got that buyout so hard you ain't want to play football no more. Let's hit the phones and talk to Harold from Harlem. Harold, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Mr. Jones, thank you. How you doing, sir?
Doing all right, man. How about you?
All right. I'm from Harlem, and I played in the Bronx 1 year, 13 years old, and 115 pounds and under. And they weighed us every game. If you were overweight, you couldn't play. So that year was fine. Following year, I'm going to play for a team in Harlem, the Delano Hawks. I go down there. A guy looks at my Pee-wee equipment. He says, I'm going to crack that. I think he's just talking. Then Vinny came up. Guy I know from the neighborhood playing basketball against, but Vinny looked like his mother was a gym. He was built, looked like a gym. I said, Vinny, I'm here for the Delano. I'm here for the play for the midgets. He said, Ramsey, there's one team here, the Delano Hawks. I said, Vinny, I'm gonna be on the field with people your size. He just nodded his head up and down. I got up, picked my equipment, went home. My mother said, what happened? I said, they got grown men down there, Ma. You can give this equipment away to some disfortunate kid. Because I'm not getting out there. So now, I'm not Mensa, but specialized high school and professional school was in my future. And I did not need to take that physics class to know that Vinny should not be colliding into me on purpose.
Hey, man.
I don't need to get hit for that.
Harold, I think you made the right call, and I'm going to have to remember that one. He looked like his mother was a gym. Had you heard that one before, Shannon? I was unfamiliar with that one.
Just appreciated his awareness, though, to realize, so what, the other folks out there can look like you?
Right.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I'd say the fact that he was like, so you're not, it would be one thing if Vinny was like the biggest dude on the team, but at least Vinny was going to be on his team. The fact that other teams had multiple Vinnies.
The fact that he didn't even have to get hit, because usually a lot of these stories are when someone gets hit and they realize they're done. Yeah. He didn't even have to get hit. He was like, oh, no.
I tell you, like my brother still on the sideline with my mama for that game when he was thinking about playing football, and they watched it, and then they walked home, and then halfway, as they were walking home, my brother stopped and looked at my mama and said, I think I'd just be in the band. Brother's a very good trumpet player, by the way. I believe he absolutely made the right call. And, by the way, my brother is not small. He just looked at it and was like, yo, why would I ever do that? What would the rationale be? All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Hey, let's talk to Mike in Mississippi. Mike, thanks for calling the right time.
First things first, Bomani Jones, you are the man.
Thank you,
okay?
man.
I enjoy hearing you this, that, and the other. Anyway, put you back to Jackson State back in the day in 77. You know, I get out of high school. You think I'm an okay baller. You know, I'm going to go in and play a little outside linebacker, maybe free safety. It's the fall. I go to one practice. I'm looking at my boys out there because I done met a bunch of them. And I seen some hits out there where some sweat was flying through face masks and onto me from an out of bounds hit. So I sat there for a couple of them. I said, you know what? Sitting up here with the cheerleaders and the J sets is not a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Because J sets are nice and the cheerleaders are nice. And plus, I am out of harm's way. I'm not into inflicted pain. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, also, you got to explain to people, too, that Jackson State back in the day was stronger than it is now.
Way stronger. Let me put it like this. Ole Miss didn't want to play him. Mississippi State didn't want to play him. Because when you look back in them days, and I had this conversation with an Alabama fan, I said, back when I was going to school, we always had somebody get drafted, probably in the maybe a first rounder, a couple running backs in the first round.
I remember Perry Harrington. He went to the Eagles. One year I knew that kid, and he's a very studious kid. And then I had another friend of mine, a friend of mine's brother, who got drafted by the Seahawks. His name was Lawrence Bullard out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then you have defensive linemen that went too. So these guys wasn't no joke, okay? And, you just, I just sat back and watched things they did on the field. So,
hey,
and it was beautiful.
I believe you made the right call, my man.
Hey, am I still on there?
Yeah, man.
Look, I met Doug Williams after that at the Senior Bowl, and I told him I was sitting in the stands the year that Jackson State played, and they played. He threw 7 touchdowns. I have never seen a prettier ball through in my life, and it was elegant. And they could have probably scored 60 of them. That year, Grambling had the number 1 offense in the NCAA, and Jackson State had the number 1 defense. And they hung like 52 on them.
Dang. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, my man. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Shad, I told you I had a cousin who was like an all-city quarterback in Fort Worth, and he went to Southern. And he went to a couple of the practices. It was like, nah. What's that line we've heard a lot on these calls? I want to focus on my academics. Yeah, that's what that is. I need to start preparing for a life after ball. It's a big old world out here. It's a lot more to life than football. And that's why I don't want to die. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, why did LaVar Ball choose to homeschool his youngest son? We'll talk to Jeff Goodman of ESPN about that on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guest joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. And on the line with us is Jeff Goodman, covers basketball of all levels for us here at ESPN. Now, Jeff, you do a lot of work on the AAU circuit with college ball. You've been around LaVar Ball for a while. Are you surprised that he has decided to homeschool his youngest boy, LaMelo?
I am not surprised at anything that dude does, period. He could take Melo to China tomorrow and open up an academy there, and it wouldn't surprise me. No. And I talked to him a few weeks ago, and you could tell. I mean, he was crushing Dennis Lattimore, the new Chino Hills coach, 3 weeks ago, saying that he had cut 2 kids that were, I think, on the team last year that were kind of, good players, and he was trying to impose his will on the team. And I kind of, said to him, I said, well, isn't that his job? I mean, he's the new coach. Like, you're not the coach. And I like LaVar. But again, he oversteps his bounds way too often. And this is one case where I just think, like, let the guy coach, see how it goes. Then if you want to pull Melo after, 10 games and he's not getting enough shots or something, then fine. But the guy might be pretty good. Who knows?
Well, what did he say when you said to him, you're not the coach?
Yeah, I mean, he runs it. He thinks he runs Chino Hills and the whole program. Like, not even the program. He thinks he runs the town. He should run for mayor of Chino Hills. You wonder, like, would he win? Do they love him? Do some people hate him in Chino Hills? I mean, when I was there before the draft, it was really interesting. I showed up and sat down with him and Lonzo, with Ian Lonzo, and you go out back, and there's this, like, half court. You might have seen some video on it. And there were, like, 10 kids just playing. And LaVar's sitting there watching them. He knows every kid. He's positive and negative with them. He'll be constructive, but he'll be positive with them. And then at the end of it, and I didn't know this, one of the kids kind of gave him, like, something. And I kind of saw it a little bit, and it was like a bill. It was like, I don't know if it was a 20, a 50. Like, I have no idea. But LaVar is working these dudes out, and I believe he's getting paid by some of them, and that's how he made his living before all this.
All right, we're talking to Jeff Goodman of ESPN here on The Right Time. Now, I think a lot of people have questions about how this is going to affect LaMelo as a basketball player, and what I'm curious about is what role does the high school team play in 2017?
What role does his high school?
Well, just like the general idea, because the AAU circuit has been so important in terms of placing guys in the recruiting circuit and everything else. Like, does it matter that much that he's not playing high school basketball?
well, he can just start up his own team. Why can't he just have Melo be on a team and get some other guys, and they play a bunch of renegade prep schools in California and play them each? Maybe there's 5 of them, and they play each one of them 3 times. So he gets a 15-game season. Last I checked, a lot of the high schools, they play 20-game seasons. So he can get it. And again, like you said, AAU ball, that's ultimately what matters. And this kid's already made a name for himself. So if LaMelo does work, and Michael Porter was homeschooled up until recently. I mean, he was homeschooled most of his life. And he was homeschooled last year as well. His senior year when he moved to Nathan Hale, played for Nathan Hale, but did not go to school there and was homeschooled all of last year. It worked out pretty good for him, but I have questions about this one, obviously, because Melo is not Lonzo. They're so different in their personalities. Melo's just been given a lot before he had to earn it, in my opinion, where Lonzo earned everything he got, even keel, gets it. I just worry about Melo being kind of the spoiled youngest kid. He's got a Lamborghini at 16. And Lonzo, again, what is Lonzo all about? Making people better, doesn't want the attention, but is respectful. Not that Melo's disrespectful. He's just, again, it's going to be hard to keep that kid in check.
We're talking to Jeff Goodman of ESPN here on The Right Time. Now, how good is LaMelo Ball?
Really good. I mean, really good. I'm not sure he's the 10th best player in the country, but he's damn good. I mean, he's high major all the way. He can obviously score. We can see that, and he's got a funky shot too. But he's got good court vision. He could be a really good point guard if he wants to be. He sees things other people don't necessarily see, but you don't see it all the time because he's too busy trying to get his own. Defensively, he's a mess. I mean, no other way of putting it. Doesn't really care most of the time about defending. But he's got a chance to be really good. And, the way it looks now is there's little to no chance he ever plays college basketball at UCLA. I mean, and I'm not sure, if you're Steve Alford, I'm not sure you're that upset about it because it could be a circus if the kid ever came to UCLA. At least you knew with Lonzo what you were going to get. You didn't know with LaVar, but LaVar was pretty quiet, remember, until towards the end of the season. Nobody really knew who he was before January. So it got out of control a little bit late, but Lonzo was never an issue. So, again, where this goes, we don't know. I mean, could he set up a team and do, online classes and get a bunch of dudes and play with Melo? Could he go overseas? I don't see him going overseas because I don't think LaVar wants to go overseas. I think he wants to stay in Chino Hills.
Well, I was about to ask you, has anybody talked to Steve Alford about all of this? As he has kind of unwittingly signed up for a lot of this.
He did. I mean, listen, I don't think he knew when he took the commitment from the younger two. And the middle one's right now at UCLA as a freshman, Jello, who's a really good kid, quiet. He'll be a good piece at UCLA. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think Steve Alford knew what he was getting himself into. And if you could take the kid without the baggage, the youngest, I think you do that. But I think it's going to be interesting to see even this year because LaVar told me he expects the middle one to average 20, 25 points a game. I think he'll be very fortunate to average 16, 17 minutes a game this year at UCLA. He can really shoot it, but defensively he's going to have trouble and doing more than just shooting it. I think he's got to show that. So, man, like you said, listen, LaVar, he's always good for entertainment, isn't he?
You're talking to Jeff Goodman of ESPN, and yes, he certainly is. Now, speaking of entertainment, although I guess it's gallows humor to a degree, last time we talked to you, you said that you were calling some of these coaches about the whole FBI thing, and they weren't even talking on their phones because they were afraid the feds were on the other end. Has it gotten any better in that world?
Well, I'm down here at Duke, and I was at Carolina yesterday and talked to Roy, and it's funny because I think Roy wanted to talk about it. He doesn't know that much, but I think Roy wanted to talk about it because Carolina, let's face it, if there's anybody that we think has been clean over the last few years, it's Carolina because they couldn't afford not to be clean, already under an academic investigation, and they haven't been getting one and dones. So they're really not the ones that we're looking at right now. Krzyzewski talked earlier today and I'll talk to him again about this. And he says, listen, there's got to be some major changes right now with the system and how it's set up. And he's right in a sense that I feel like the problem is everybody's their own entity. You know, high school is high school, AAU is AAU, college is college, NBA. They all just want to worry about themselves instead of worrying about the overall game and the product. And it's never going to be clean. You know this. Like, there's no way this thing is going to be clean because there's too many people that can make money off it. And they're going to figure out other ways, whether it's coaches, whether it is these financial guys, agents, runners, because they see a meal ticket with these kids and their families. And unfortunately, I've seen it way too often because I came up covering recruiting. The parents aren't prepared to handle the onslaught and the people that are coming at them, and they don't know who to trust. And it's really, really sad in a lot of cases.
All right, we're talking to Jeff Goodman of ESPN here on The Right Time. Now, do we have any idea what the tenor is at some of these schools where an assistant is in trouble, but it hasn't gotten to the head coach yet? I think Arizona and Miami jumped to mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're shutting it down. I mean, that's what it is right now. They don't know what's going to happen next, and they don't know what type of actual proof they have as of now. If you look at it, obviously there's proof with the 4 assistant coaches because they were caught taking money from the financial guy, right? The undercover financial guy that flipped, who was arrested in 2016. So I think those are clear. The other cases are not clear because you've got almost speculation. You've got one person saying something, whether it's somebody from Adidas, whether it's this guy Christian Dawkins, who is with Andy Miller, the agent. So you don't know if the proof is there on the other end, and I think that's going to be what's up to the FBI to be able to find. Is this coaches talk a lot, and they may say something. It could be a coach, it could be an agent. They may say, well, program X offered $100,000 to see if they can bump it up when program X might not have offered $100,000. Who knows? They might offer 50. They might not have offered anything, but they're trying to boost the value up. And that's going to be what's up to the FBI to be able to prove. And really it's going to come down to how many people roll at the end of the day, in my opinion, is how many people roll and how high up the ladder it ends up going.
All right, that is Jeff Goodman. Check him out, covering all sorts of basketball for us here at ESPN. My man, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You got it, man.
All right, now, The Right Time is brought to you by Select Quote. Get your free personalized quote on term life insurance in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-290-0303 or go to selectquote.com.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pencil Performance Line. Thanks to Jeff Goodman of ESPN for joining us last segment. Thanks to Chris Singleton of ESPN for joining us in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour. Thanks to Domonique Foxworth for joining us in the 5 o'clock Eastern hour. Thanks to Field Yates for joining us in the 4 o'clock Eastern hour. Remember, if you miss anything live, check out the Right Time podcast available on the ESPN app. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. All right, Shannon, what we miss out on today?
We know you can't be on top of all the news and information of the day. Now, if you haven't heard.
All right, the Kansas City Chiefs got a big win last night over Washington. They're becoming the NFL's only 4-0 team. And if you haven't heard, here's Bomani Jones last night on Kansas City's victory.
Okay, so, it was the Bomani Bowl last night, right? Like, that's basically what this was. Like, all the things that wind up making me wind up being incensed. Now, I want to be clear. I do not get incensed about Kirk Cousins or Alex Smith as, like, who they are as humans, as individuals. That would be horribly unfair. They're just out here trying to make a little money like everybody else. But, man, they got capes. They got stands. And, man, most of them are dorks. Anyway, both of them played pretty well last night. Like, neither of them looked like a great quarterback, but both of them played pretty well in the course of the game last night. In fact, it wound up being a very entertaining game and a game that saved me from what I did not want, and what I did not want was overtime. And my biggest fear was overtime. I did not want any parts of overtime. I did not want any more of that game. And then the game turned out to be pretty good, and I might have been willing to hang out a little bit longer, watch a little bit more of it. And then what happened? Got to the last play of the game. Washington tried to do some trickeration. Didn't work. Ball wound up on the ground. Justin Houston takes it into the end zone. Shout out to everybody who had Chiefs -7. And, by the way, shout out to you if you had the over, because apparently 49 helped you get a little bit paid. I feel like that whole situation that they had in that game at that moment right there is basically a public service announcement against gambling. That's what that game was. Don't gamble, kids. It's a little hard on your ticker, maybe even your wallet.
As I mentioned, yes, the Chiefs are 4-0, but how far can they go with Alex Smith in this college offense?
Well, dude, here's the thing about this. Before Josh Norman got hurt, it looked like they had kind of figured that out. Like Washington, that first time they tried that triple option with the shovel pass, Washington was there for it. Like, yo, we've been in the film. We done seen what's going on here. I am very curious how long they can keep up what it is that they're doing. But the one part that isn't going to change, there is not a linebacker that can check Tyreek Hill, right? I don't think there's a linebacker that can check Kareem Hunt. That's not going to change. They're going to keep doing that stuff.
And there's another thing that I did take away from last night's game. With the loss, that moved Washington to 2-2. Dallas is 2-2.
Oh, here we go.
Philly atop the NFC East at 3-1, which means the Giants are right there in the thick of things in the playoff race in the NFC East. They're right there.
They're in the thick of things.
They are right there.
They're in the thick of things for the number 1 overall pick. That's what they in the thick of. I don't know what they talk about. Was you just figure because the Eagles are the Eagles, they're going to fall apart? Is that basically your logic there?
Absolutely. But speaking of the Chiefs, though, which are you more surprised with, Bo? The Chiefs starting the season at 4-0 or the Giants starting the season at 0-4? Which is more surprising?
Oh, Giants at 0-4. The Chiefs have been pretty consistently good for a while now. Like at some point, we're going to see how much it matters if they don't have Eric Berry anymore, stuff like that. Like as the season goes on, I think that's going to matter more than it does right now. But no, the Giants going 0-4 is absolutely shocking. I mean, I can't imagine how shocked I'd be if I was a Giants fan and we were 2 games behind the Jets.
Right. And you had to talk about it on a nationally syndicated radio program, right?
Man, I mean, dude, the Jets. Like, the Jets supposed to be the ones bringing down the whole city. Yet and still, here are the Giants, doing everything the right way except playing football.
All right, things haven't been the best for Hugh Jackson in Cleveland. Through 31 games as the head coach of Cleveland, his record is 2-29. You think Jackson makes it throughout the rest of the season?
Well, to be fair to him, I think it's probably 2-19, and
is it 19?
Yeah, I mean he started last year, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, 2-19.
Yeah, and you know what though? I do think that he lasts through the year because nobody could win with the roster that they have, right? Like I don't know exactly how they're going to quantify success, but nobody could win with the roster they had. They think they might have the quarterback, and if he starts showing signs as the year goes on, then Hugh winds up keeping his job. But they'd be silly to fire him. That being said, being silly ain't never stopped anybody from firing the head coach of the Browns.
All right, Derek Jeter in his press conference today, of course, he's part of the ownership group there with the Miami Marlins. He was pretty non-committal when it came to the future of Giancarlo Stanton. He said, I don't know. He said, I haven't spoken to the players, haven't spoken to him, talking about Stanton. Anything we're going to do moving forward with the organization, I will discuss with team president Mike Hill. Are you surprised that he's not committal with the team's best player?
Well, he's also the team's highest paid player. There's always that. He is their highest paid player. I'm just looking at him like, hey, man, I don't know how you expect to get anybody to come to that stadium without any star power. The only problem is Stanton's been on the team for a while, and nobody's coming to the stadium. Also, Shannon, are we ever going to go back to calling him Mike, or is that disrespectful? Is it like a Cassius Clay sort of situation?
I think once he gets older, he might go back to Mike. Like when you become a grizzled vet, an older guy, yeah, Mike.
It's wild. He is baseball's black superstar, and you don't know it because he went back to Giancarlo.
Exactly. Well, speaking of American-born baseball players, Aaron Judge, it was announced that he had the best-selling
black superstar
baseball jersey in the league this year. Isn't that something? This is what we wanted, right? An American-born star with the Yankees, right?
That's what I was about to say. Moral of the story, play for the Yankees. But all this is happening. He's hitting all these home runs, and I still don't really feel like anybody cares, right? Like this, to me, just tells you where baseball is. I'm not saying it's a bad place because there are plenty of people who care about baseball, and they're clearly making a bunch of money. But it's the people who care about baseball and everybody else. There seems to be no in between.
All right, second on that jersey selling list was Chris Bryant of the Cubs and Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs were second and third on that list.
I thought Anthony Rizzo retired.
Nah, he's still with him.
Who the one that don't we got one of them that work for us?
Yeah, the catcher.
Oh,
dude. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
David Ross is his name.
Oh,
thanks, Nuno.
I was just about to say, are you sure that's not Anthony Rizzo?
All right, we touched upon this a little bit earlier, but if you haven't heard, the NBA has announced a change to the All-Star Game rosters. Essentially, you will have team captains picking the squads. Let me ask you, Bomani, if you are the last All-Star chosen, what words would you have for the team captain?
None whatsoever, because I'm not going to be there to get picked. Like, if I'm down to one of the last two, y'all got to do that pick without me. I don't want to play no more. You know what? I ain't on the All-Star team. My knee started hurting. I ain't doing this. You ain't about to disrespect me in that way. It's not. And so apparently they're going to do this well before the All-Star game, unfortunately, because we want to see the embarrassment of who is the last person to get picked. Like, that is the whole reason that we would be showing up for this process. Show us who the last person is to get picked, and I worry a great deal about the optics of who the last guys might be. But I also feel like even if we don't get to see it, whoever goes last is going to make it clear to us that he's the guy who went last. Yes, he tries not to. I don't know who told you I was picked last. I wasn't picked last.
That has Paul Millsap written all over it.
No, I don't think it's going to be Paul Millsap.
He in the West now, man.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be the one that gets picked last. It'll be somebody else. They'll take Paul Millsap.
I'd imagine that if you're if you're a young guy, if this is like your first All-Star appearance, then maybe you have no problems getting picked last, right?
Like I told you, you know who would be picked last if I was one of them All-Star captains? Probably Russell Westbrook, because I've seen him in the All-Star game. He is not here to pass the ball. It's just not. Like, he's like, yo, I'm Russell Westbrook, and we about to get gangster wild with it. Please believe that. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this every weekday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Shannon, Nuno, Allie, thanks so much. Twins, Yankees, wild card coming up next.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.